Hi guys, today we're going to go over the alt photo assignment or the photo 2 assignment in Intro to Digital. This is the notes that I will be using to go over these things. So if you have these in front of you, I'll make sure that I go over each of the blanks that are here so that way you can fill them in as we go. I'll also suggest that you write in a few things in the margins, just some quick key commands that might help you along the way. To do this, we'll need to be in our Photoshop. So for Photoshop, you'll want to open up a picture of a object, and preferably an object that's on like a plain background. So this photo is obviously already edited, but it does show a picture of like a leaf on a plain background, and that'll just probably be easier as you're learning to try something like that's on a plain background. It's an object, not a person. And yeah. If you forget how to open up a photo, remember you can click on the home button and then go to open and then find your photos that way. After you have found your photo and you have it on Photoshop, they'll appear like tabs at the top of your page, and we'll get started with our notes. So again, this is the home button. This will allow you to navigate to where you have like your previous projects and then where you can open up new projects or open up a new file entirely. For our purposes, you really just need to be working on like opening files for now, but eventually we will be creating our own new files in our next project. With this one, again, that home button then will allow you to have multiple tabs, so like you can switch in between like these multiple tabs, and then these are kind of like, think of them like tabs on a browser. From here, we can go ahead and start learning about our first selection tool. So this selection tool, if you look along the side where all these tools are, might not be the easiest thing to find. That's because it's actually hidden. It's hidden under this tool right here, this third tool down, or fourth tool down, and it's called our object selection tool. Now, one trick of the trade, if you know the name of a tool, but you don't know where it is, you can always type it in to our search bar and it'll pop up with a menu option like this. So if I knew that it was called our object, and then selection tool, it'll come up with those options, and then it'll even show you where that is located. For Photoshop, any of these that have a small little triangle on the bottom right corner, that notes the fact that it has other tools under it, so the organization may not necessarily be the same depending on who used it last, but that does note that you can find them under there. With this object selection tool, when we're using this, it is going to use AI technology to kind of separate out what is going to be the selection. So if I click on this leaf here, notice it puts these little marching ants all the way around the leaf. That's a thing I would definitely write down near these selection tools. So these marching ants, these little dots, those things are when you, like kind of the equivalent of if you were on a Google Doc and then you were to highlight something so that you can copy and paste it somewhere else. This is the same as that. So we've essentially highlighted our image so that way we can copy and paste it. To copy and paste, you're going to do Command C as in cat, and then Command V as in Victor. And that allows us to have a new layer. So if you notice, the image that we're looking at right now looks the exact same, but our marching ants are gone. And then we also have down here in our layers tab, we have two layers, but they're directly on top of each other, so they're covering each other up. If I hit the eyeball on the background, I'll be able to see that layer number 1, so that way I can see that I've made my own selection. We're going to skip down in your notes a little bit and then go to the one that has 4 arrows on it. The one that has 4 arrows on it should match up to this tool at the very top of the page. This is called your Move tool. With this Move tool, I can click on the selection that I made and actually move it around. The other tools on here won't allow you to do that. You got to use your Move tool. So this can be helpful, especially when we're trying to figure out where things are going to go. Okay, for now I'm just going to hit the eyeball on that, and then I'm going to show you another selection tool. So this selection tool is going to be under the same area. So we're gonna hit on where we had our object selection tool, click and hold to get it to show up, and then you'll see where it says quick selection tool. Our quick selection tool to me is a little bit more user-friendly than the object selection tool because it allows you to be more specific about what you want and don't want in a photo. So with this, you can add or take away with the selection, so that's super helpful. For this tool, you'll notice at the top it changes all of these settings. Right now it has like a setting where it shows a paintbrush with little marching ants around it and then a plus sign. That means whatever I click on, it's going to be adding to that selection. I also have a really small point size. That's what this number is. If I would like to turn that up, I can, and then you'll notice the circle of my selection gets a little bit larger. So let's see how that works. So if I click and drag, you notice it's like kind of getting things, but it looks a little bit off. In fact, it looks like the previous layer. So if you're not on the correct layer, it is not going to be able to pick up on the things that are in that layer. So you do want to make sure you're on the right layer. Right now I have layer number 1 highlighted. I need to be on the background. So with these little marching ants, in order to get rid of them, I have the deselect option here, but if for some reason you don't see that, you can also hit Command D and I'll start over. Go to the background and then click and drag, and then now it's definitely doing a lot better at finding what I want to have selected, getting all that little leaf. And I'm just clicking and dragging. Now you may notice in some areas, like down there and right here, it got some spots that were dark that maybe we don't want to have, like right here. So this is where that minus comes in handy. So I can click the negative, and then I can turn my point size down. I can then use this click and drag, and it kind of makes it a smaller selection that way. Right, so I can do this in a few areas real quick. Sometimes just clicking does it. Like I can just click sometimes and it'll find that edge again. It depends on how sharp your edges are. If you have something that kind of fades into the darkness, it might not do as well. But that's okay. We'll show you another tool that can help with that. Okay, adding just a little bit more plus there. All right, so now that I have this marching ants, I'm going to use the same key commands, Command C, Command V, and now I have a new layer that's directly on top. So I have 2 of those. With this new layer, remember you can use the move tool to move it around. I'm also going to teach you a new key command. This one is going to be Command T, as in tiger, and then when you use this Command T, you notice it has a box that forms. This box allows us to resize our selection, and it also allows us to rotate our selection if we want to. To rotate our selection, you need to be near the corner but not touching it. To resize the selection, you need to be touching the corner. Once you're happy with the change, it will not let you do anything else before you hit the check mark. So you hit the check mark always, and then you can kind of, play around with that. Set them up. I'm kind of wanting them to fade around. Ooh, wait. I want to be on this layer. There you go. Select the right layer always. So you should just be able to click to select the layers. Good. Now I've got this like weird kind of leaf on top of leaf pattern going. Maybe kind of creating emphasis in the middle a little bit. Okay. And then again, remember, hit the check mark when you're done. Next thing on your notes is our eraser tool. I'm going to just go ahead and paste a new one, and then I'm going to hit the eyeballs on everything else so that way we're just focusing on one thing at a time. With the eraser tool, this is about halfway down the page, and this eraser tool is going to let you change a lot of settings, so don't be overwhelmed. We're going to go over the most important ones. The eraser tool is going to be found, again, halfway down the page, and then when you click on it, it's got the point size that'll be first. So whatever point size that is, that's how big your circle is, how big the eraser mark is going to be. I'll leave mine pretty big so that way you can see what's actually happening. What's also happening in here, so we have the hard round pressure size, or the hard round, and we have also got like this one that has kind of a soft edge. So these things that you're seeing, these are kind of showing the marks that it would make, but it's an eraser, so it's going to do like kind of the, like if you were to take away, these are the kind of levels that it would be taking away. For now, the hard round is probably just fine. And then it also, just to show you what this would look like, I'm going to go across the page like that. Okay, so you see it's like a clean cut. It feels kind of like I took a pair of scissors and cut out part of that. If I wanted to change the brush to a soft round, you're going to get more of a fade around the edge. So it's a little bit more blurry around the edge, not as clean cut. Another thing that you can do, and some of y'all probably saw me mess with it just a second ago, is this up here. So this is the opacity. This is how much of an erase you want. And so, for example, let's say I wanted something to be more transparent. Then I could turn down the opacity to make it more transparent. So let's turn it down about that much, then do a comparison. So you can still see the leaf, but you can also see through the leaf now to this like checkered background showing us the transparency. Let's say you are having trouble using the quick selection tool and the object selection tool isn't really working either. As long as you're able to get something in your quick selection, you can always go back and erase anything extra using this tool. Okay. Next thing on y'all's list. So I'm going to again just erase that one, paste a new one in. So we're focusing on one thing at a time. And then with this one, I am going to turn on the background again so you can kind of see where that would land. Moving this one into place so it's directly on top. Okay. So selection tool, oftentimes you are going to want to have two layers. One layer is like the layer you're editing, and then the other layer is the layer that's staying the same. You don't have to keep it this way, but in a lot of our example photos, you'll see that that's how they did this. So that's how I'm showing you how to do it too. And then this next tool is called the rectangular marquee tool. Rectangular marquee. So this is going to allow you to make a selection that is going to be rectangular. With this rectangular marquee tool, it is pretty good at knowing after you've made the selection, it already makes marching ants. So if I click and then hold to make that square and then let go, it already has marching ants. So I don't have to do any kind of like extra thing to it. Next step is using my move tool, and I can move the actual selection that I made. And when I move the selection that I made, you notice it only grabbed what was in that layer, and what's behind that layer is the other thing. So I can click the eyeball so that you can see that. That's the change that I made. I can use my arrows to kind of like line things up so I don't have any gaps if I want as well. And then when I'm done with the selection, again, I want to either hit deselect or Command D in order to make that stop. And I can continue through doing that again. I can go back to the rectangular marquee, use the move tool to pull it out of place. Okay, hit deselect. And then I can start to get kind of like the rhythm that happens in a lot of those student examples. So yeah, with this one, I don't think it is as beneficial to have the thing behind it, but you could if you wanted to. All right, and then last thing I want to show you, or second to last thing I want to show you guys. So I'm going to turn on all of my layers except for, not all of them. I'll turn on these two. We'll do one more. And then I'm going to move this to the background. So this new layer that I just made, I want to move it all the way down. So I'm just literally clicking and dragging. When you see in the layers panel, you got that blue bar, and then it goes past the other ones, and it appears to go behind. So I moved it all the way. The only thing I have visible is this one, and this one. Good. With these, I'm gonna kind of try to do like a little fade effect so it's less intense. So the one in the way back, which is this one, I'm gonna put that one in my opacity over here around, let's do like 30-ish, okay? And then this middle one will probably have, oh yeah, I think 54 is good. And then this first one like that. So it kind of feels like an echo effect. Okay, so That's on my layers panel. I can always go back and change that if I need or if I don't like that. But I've got this kind of background that's not really helping with the effect of it coming out of the space. I kind of just want a plain background. In order to just have a plain background, I'm going to need to use the shape tool. So this is the second to last thing on your notes. For the shape tool, you'll notice it's not actually called that. This is actually just where the shapes are held. And yours might not have the rectangle on top. It might have any one of these things on top. And that just depends on whatever was used last on your computer. For me, I just want to use the rectangle tool. And then I'm going to be able to click and drag across the page. When I do this, I get a rectangle. Now you'll notice there's a fill and then there's a stroke. Your fill is the color of the shape. Your fill is the color of the shape. And then your stroke is going to be the outline. Let's start with the fill. If I click on the fill and then click the little rainbow box next to the fill, I can click on anything like this, and that makes it a lot more user-friendly. I really love the color picker. You guys will become very friendly with the color picker because we use it a lot, especially in digital drawing. So you'll figure out what color you want. I'm going to just make it black. Okay? And then for your stroke works the same way. So I'll double click on that, click on the rainbow box, and then let's say I wanted a red outline for some reason. You might not see it right away, and that's probably because of this point size next to it. So I can turn this up, right? And then I can start to see it for sure. That's a much bigger point size. Or I can turn that down, and then it's like next to invisible or invisible. I can also just turn it off by clicking this one that has a red line through it. And then that means that it's transparent. Good, now I have a background. Now that I have a background, it's unfortunately on top of all my other shapes though. So again, I'm just going to need to click and drag that down below my other things. We're getting better. Okay, this looks a little bit more like a nice kind of echo. It feels like we're creating some emphasis here. Looking good. So very last thing of the photo or of the demo, I did kind of want to show you guys how to get one photo from another photo so you guys can blend photos together. So the photo that I'm going to use doesn't necessarily fit the theme that I'm going for here, but it's just a fun one. This is my great grandma. She is 107, still alive, still doing awesome, and has a birthday coming up. I'm going to use my quick selection tool to grab her face. So again, just clicking and dragging, right, getting her little collar. Okay, looks like I got a little bit of that top part. So I'll go through like that, get rid of that. And then I'm gonna hit Command C as in cat, Command C, go back to my other photo, hit Command V as in Victor, and it might come up with something that looks like this. So this is where it's asking, or it's saying it's a slightly different photo color profile. And so for this one, it was scanned in. It's okay, it shouldn't cause any issues. It's posted. Now I have that new layer down here. Just have to drag that on top of my other layers. And there she is. We've got emphasis on my great grandma. Okay, so that's the gist of the assignment in terms of the tools that you can use. If you have any other questions for like tools and things like that, I really would suggest, if I'm not there for some reason, you can always type the questions into here, and it can be very helpful and even gives you quick little demos too. Your assignment again is to use a photo to create a principle of design. We also want this photo to be very abstract, much like this, something you would not see in the real world. Thank you guys, and I hope you have